So, wanted to do a quick upload here, a quick video. Just finished eating a steak. I'm a weekend warrior when it comes to meat. So, got a little steak in, really good. And I was listening to Ed, and it inspired me to make a in defense of Donovan Sharp video. This will be one of the times where you'll see that I put, a person's name in the video when I'm talking about them. Usually, even if I'm talking about like somebody like Kevin Samuels or anybody else, I won't put their name in the title unless it's like an interview with them or something like that. And that's just to avoid some of the attention that comes with it, even though you still get it somewhat just because of the algorithm. But overall, an in defense of Donovan Sharp video. First off, in terms of how Donovan does business and works with other people, in some ways, I hope he gets better at that. But I could understand maybe how you have to be a tough businessman. You have to be a tough businessman in terms of handling some of the situations that are going on around you, and making sure that at the end of it all, you have the better outcome out of the situation. So I understand that. I understand being tough. As a person that has ran a computer consulting company for 10 years with two business partners and also a salon, and making a large investment in that with two business partners, I understand sometimes you're just going to have to be either quote unquote vicious, savage, or just like, hey, listen, if it doesn't work out, then fine, no problem. And, you'll deal with the communication however you deal with it. You're just not going to please everybody in business, and you should not. And if you do, you're not going to have a business for too long, and you're not going to have enough profits for quite a bit of time either. Doing things like, hey, I'm going to have to raise my price just because I'm getting too many requests. And the reason why you do that is, one, you'll get that money. Two, it'll cut down on the requests so you can actually focus on the people that are actually paying you. What is that on my face? Oh, that's just my skin. Okay. So I understand that, and that's just touching on a little bit of that portion of it. As far as Donovan Sharp having a wife, his supposed girlfriend, who's actually his wife, Devin. Duh. Like, to me, that doesn't surprise me. I understand why he might have said girlfriend, because that to me is kind of like on the level of a female Twitch streamer and dudes find out she has a boyfriend. A lot of these dudes that are listening to this content are literally living through the content provider. They're living through these guys and having somewhat of a fantasy of saying, oh, okay, yeah, he's living the life that I really want to live. He's doing the things that I really want to do. And because of that, I'm going to, put myself, get a little bit more on my face, get a little beard action. I'm going to put myself in his shoes. Donovan's doing it the quote unquote right way. I could see where that's a problem. Hey, you're lying, you're not being genuine, or what have you, or you're covering up the reality of the situation. I could see that. Yeah, that's fucked up. But what does that tell? That tells me more about the audience than it does Donovan himself, because he knows his audience. He knows his audience are men that are possibly against marriage, or possibly being in a state of hurt because of a failed relationship or what have you. That's what it shows me. That's what I see, and that's what I understand. And I'm like, yeah, I would, in a sense, do that too. If I wanted that type of recognition, so on and so forth. I would tag Kevin Samuels in a video where I'm talking about finance. I would even in my last video that was released on Friday, I didn't tag Saweetie and Quavo. I didn't really tag any of that at all. I talked about their relationship, but the overall meaning of, or the overall importance of that talk was more about don't spend all this money on people that, quote unquote, don't love you or won't be there for a long period of time. The amount of money that he supposedly spent on Saweetie was like $2 million. Now, I don't think he spent that much. The value of the things, some of the things that he got was that much. I don't think he actually put that much money in. He might have done 6 figures, but he wasn't doing no 7 figures on no chick. I mean, and I think he had a post supposedly of what he bought. I don't see him buying even like Saweetie a Bentley, and you know, that's not a lease. That would just be foolish. If he did that, Jesus Christ. There's a thin line between pimp and simp. If that is the case. There's a thin line between pimp and simp. That's some simp ass shit. But you a pimp though. Oh God. You got more money investing in a bitch than you do in your stock portfolio. Make that make sense. So when I look at back to Donovan though, but when I look at, you know, hearing something like that, oh, Donovan is he's married to this girl Devin, who has been his assistant, been there around for him. Donovan comes from a kind of tumultuous, trauma-filled life with his mom and so on and so forth that he's talked about. He's also done some things that you know, were anger infused, like, you know, like he was just a very angry person. He's talked about these things. But when you have a woman that's there for you in your corner, that's earning your respect, doing the things that are necessary to keep the relationship going, then if her request, because she's not a slave, she's not a child, if her possible request would be, you're going to have to put a ring on it if you want me to continue to do this, then yeah, bitch, you gonna marry her. You know why? Because if we look at Jeff Bezos, right? Jeff Bezos openly, he's not like, say, a Dr. Dre. But Jeff Bezos openly, I haven't heard of Jeff Bezos ever talking badly about his wife. Even with the breakup, it was announced and then it happened. It was just that fucking quick. She got half and that was it. Now she's remarrying to a school teacher, a science teacher or something like that. And Jeff Bezos will probably be at the wedding, you know, if not pay for the whole thing. I mean, well, I guess his money already paid for it, in a sense. But it was an email that happened that, like, you know, when that story was shared in the Black Brain Trust, that, you know, she was getting remarried. I'm part of the Black Brain Trust email list, and when it was shared, I was just like, yeah, that makes sense. And I'm glad she, you know, she did her time. She did her bid. She did what most of us as men really want from our women, from a woman, period, which is cooperation and assistance. To cooperate with us and assist us in building something. If marriage is all she's talking about, then give it to her. That's not a big deal. That's not like, oh my God, I can't believe this. She's asking for too much. That's minuscule. That's kind of duh. Like, that's how I look at that. Like, her asking that is just like, oh, okay, yeah, all right, cool. You can get a ring, baby, no problem. You just gonna have to stay here, blah, 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 and then maybe this is the contract or prenup that we work out, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? You treat it like a business deal. Like, I'm gonna give you something. There's, as Thomas Sowell would say, there's trade-offs. There's compromises. There's things that you're gonna have to give that person for them to actually be down for you like that. She's not there for no reason. She's not there just for the money. If she was there just for the money, then, like, honestly, maybe Donovan and the way he talks is not the way, you know, maybe that most women would want to stay. And that brings me to the next thing. You know, Donovan always came off to me as, you know what? No, not always. Donovan came off to me after a while, especially with the O'Shea days and things like that, as a person that was not full of himself, but a little bit smug, elitist, talking like he was better than you, better than the audience, so on and so forth. And I could kind of understand it when you really try to look at who the person is that you're who the person is that you're listening to. if you listen to Donovan talk, and he's very open about his experience and his past life experiences, so that he can actually relate to his audience. He tells you what he's been through and what he's dealt with. A person that's been through some of the things that Donovan Sharp has been through is going to be a little bit on the side of an elitist person, a smug person. He may not think of himself as that, but he has done what's necessary to make him better. When you've done that, when you've literally pulled yourself up by the bootstraps, you will act differently. You will act a certain way. You will act like you were quote unquote better than. When I talk to my business partner about my behavior and how you have to approach business, especially as a black man running a business, you know, you can't. I usually say, listen, man, I'm not an asshole, but I'm gonna have to be a fucking asshole. And it's just like, well, that's contradictory. Those cancel each other out. No, I'm not an asshole, but at sometimes I have to put on that hat. I have to put on that mindset. That switch has to get flipped to where today I'm gonna come in this meeting with the all red shirt. We're going to talk about this invoice that's $5,000 that you don't want to pay. And you're going to understand by the time we're done with this conversation, this battle, that you're going to pay that invoice. They paid that invoice. Just telling you. When I say that I came with the red shirt, I never wear that shirt. I never wear those, I used to never wear those. We had red shirts and I used to never wear them. I just didn't really like it. It wasn't like... I like maybe softer colors or black or something like that, or the gray shirts were my favorite now. Or no, the black and the gray shirts. And we had these shirts made red and blue. I would wear the blue, but I wouldn't really wear the red. I had a problem with a customer. I had to go in there with the red shirt. Because to me, in my head, they had to see that I was ready to fucking spill blood today. Like spill blood in that office for my money. I did all the work. I put up the wireless access points. I did all this other shit. Yo, listen, you gonna have to give me my fucking money today. Plain and simple. So when I hear about Donovan Sharp and the way he, is doing things, the way he's acting, doing private marriages and all this other stuff, bitch, I understand it because sadly, and I was in this mindset, so I know where it's coming from. This is why I made the video. It's an asset, not a religion. A lot of people in these prepper videos, these silver stacker videos, these MGTOW and other, SYSBM and other sects, they are sections. They're LARPing. They're live action role playing. They're playing out a fantasy, if you will, in some cases. And in their head, really, I mean, they're LARPing in those comment sections. Like they're that, or they're this person, so on and so forth. So when you hear about Donovan Sharp, supposedly he's married and he's, a man that talks against, a woman being this or not giving up this to a woman, so on and so forth. Like, I understand it from a business perspective that sadly you have to sell something. You have to sell a little bit of yourself. And I look at it, I'm like, yeah, okay, I can see how that would be like a deal breaker for some. That's not honest, whatever. But also I'm like, okay, who cares? Like, does that take away from the message? There's a lot of people, like, that's why I show in my videos my debts. That's why I show what I'm doing. A lot of people aren't really living every bit of the lifestyle that they're talking about in these videos in their own life. Case in point, I think I know something Hogan, but I think it's Chris Hogan. Chris Hogan of the Dave Ramsey personality. I feel bad for the man. He was out there doing his thing. You do your dirt shit. Like you do your dirt. You come out looking dirty. Hey, the clean people ain't gonna want to be beside you. So he had to get taken out. That's it. It's business. It's personal, but it's business at the same time. You're making us look bad. I'm gonna have to separate myself from you. You're going to have to leave and move on. At the same time, he's still probably getting something in his in terms of royalties and payments and stuff like that. He's going to have to eat that and deal with it on his own. But he'll be back. Maybe not as a Dave Ramsey personality, but he'll be back. They just going to have to separate themselves. So when I see some of the things that were going on in the video with the 21 convention, the person that leads the 21 convention, okay, he was surgical. He was really, what's it called? He was factual. You know, he said, "Hey, listen." He brought receipts, as we would like to say nowadays, and I could totally understand it. You know, like, he separate yourself from him. You know, I'm not even gonna go on like, "Oh, would I have done it like that?" Who gives a fuck? He did it. It's done. Do I look at that and I hear and now I'm like, "Oh, well, I'm not fucking with Donovan no more"? Hell no, because Donovan's message wasn't like Donovan. His message is more important than his actual lifestyle to a certain extent. To a certain extent, I won't go too far with that, but sometimes the message is more important than the messenger themselves and who's delivering it. And as far as Donovan Sharp, I hope he fixes those things, becomes a little bit more real and closer to his audience because of this. And I'm not worried about the people that are in the comment section of that 21 convention video, because you could see, "Oh, I never liked him because of this. I knew he was this when I saw this," so on and so forth. Everybody knew, but nobody was saying much. So that's how it is. Everybody's everybody knew what was going on, but nobody ever wanted to say anything. So I guess they were complicit. But with that, I'd like to say, hey, listen, I understand Donovan Sharp. I don't dislike him. I never really watched a lot of his video, or currently I don't watch a lot of his videos anyway, but at the same time, I think he's a person that has done something for the space, and this is not gonna be a big deal. I mean, from what I've seen with Donovan Sharp, he's always been a person that has worked with people, but he's very cautious of his brand. I'll put it to you like that. He's very cautious of his brand. We talk so much about people who are, especially even women, how I say this a lot in the comment section, especially when it's on a Kevin Samuels video. It's like these women don't care about their brand. What you're seeing is a man, Donovan Sharp. He cares about his brand. He cares about what he's actually doing, and or what he's actually putting out there, and he's tailoring it, and he's doing whatever's necessary. If his girl was down to say, "All right, cool, yeah, listen, I won't tell nobody if you won't, it's our little secret," then it is what it is. It's totally understandable, because guess what? At the end of the day, she's getting what she wants out of it. He's getting what he wants out of it. And when the doors are closed, they know who they are. So a lot of this stuff that's happening, yeah, it's needed, but we'll see how Donovan moves, and I'm not worried about it at all. I'm not worried for him either. I'm not worried for his level of production, his rate of production, and things like that. I think he'll be okay. All right, I'll leave it at that, because I need to go to the store and return these damn batteries. $20 for 4 batteries. On Amazon, I can get 3 times as much. I can get a 12-pack instead of a 4-pack. I can get it for $20 too. Man, sometimes some things you buy in the store, and some things, well, there's a reason why these local stores are going out of business. As always, thanks for listening. And if you're, if you're taking anything, thanks for listening. Bye. Bye.